We're always told that competition brings out the best in us, right? That it's the only way to really succeed. But what if that's not true? What if it's actually a lie? Today, we're going to dig into a pretty radical idea that could totally change how you see your career, your relationships, and maybe even yourself. We're diving deep into the uncompete mindset to figure out how to break free from this draining, endless cycle of comparison. Oh, you know this feeling. We all do. You're just scrolling through your feed, minding your own business, and then you see it. A friend's big promotion, a colleague's picture-perfect vacation, and boom, instantly that quiet little knot forms in your stomach. That feeling of being, well, behind. That exact feeling is the starting point for everything we are about to unpack. But here is the absolute key insight from this book. That feeling. It is not a personal flaw. It's not some character defect you need to fix. The whole argument here is that it's actually a carefully constructed trap, and it's basically designed to keep us all running in place. So, where does this all even begin? Well, it starts a lot earlier than you'd probably think. From the time we're kids, we are literally conditioned to see almost every part of life as a competition. I mean, just think about how deep this really runs. In school, you're ranked by your grades. In sports, it's all about who gets the trophy. Universities, they brag about their competitive admissions and low acceptance rates. Then you get to work and you're often stacked up against your own teammates on a performance curve. It is a constant, relentless message, and it's reinforced everywhere. Life is a zero-sum game. This isn't natural, it's conditioning. So, while we're told that all this constant competition is supposed to bring out our best, the book makes a powerful case that it actually comes with a steep, hidden price. So let's take a look at the real costs of living in this state of constant battle. Now, what's so fascinating here is just how stark this contrast is. We chase competition because it promises success, motivation, fulfillment. But the reality? It's more often burnout, anxiety, and a profound sense of isolation. The strength it promises often leads to actual sickness, as our bodies are just flooded with stress. And it doesn't create abundance. It creates this gnawing sense of scarcity. And this brings us to a really core concept, the scarcity mindset. This is the bedrock belief that life is a zero-sum game. If your colleague gets that promotion, well, there's one less for you. If someone else finds success, it somehow takes away from your own chances. This mindset, this is the fuel that keeps the competition trap running. And the damage goes so much deeper than just our own personal well-being. It isolates us. I mean, the top of the ladder is a pretty lonely place. It also systematically penalizes anyone who can't or simply won't participate 24/7 in that hustle culture. Think about caregivers or anyone who has to prioritize their health. And maybe most critically, it keeps us fighting each other for scraps, which distracts us from ever questioning the very system that created all that scarcity in the first place. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? This is where the whole thing pivots to the uncompete mindset, and it's all about making a conscious choice to take a different path. This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the entire idea. We've been sold this story that being competitive is just human nature, some kind of biological survival of the fittest drive. The book argues that this is a total myth. Competition is a learned behavior. And the most powerful thing about a learned behavior is that it can be unlearned. You actually have the power to choose differently. So this new path is built on 3 foundational pillars. First, it starts inside your own head with a conscious choice to just not compete. Then it moves outward, shifting your energy away from individual gain and toward collaboration. And finally, it scales up, empowering you to actively resist the larger cultural systems that feed that competition trap. All right, so that's the theory. But how do we actually make this real in our lives? Let's break down the practical, everyday things you can start doing to uncompete, like today. The internal work really starts with understanding envy. The book makes this fantastic distinction between 2 different types. So there's benign envy. That's when you see someone's success and you think, wow, that's amazing, I admire that. How can I learn from them to get better? But then there's malignant envy, and that's the destructive kind. That's the little voice that says, I resent their success, and it makes you want to tear them down. Just recognizing which one you're feeling is a huge first step. So let's build out your uncompete toolkit. The first skill is to practice genuinely, truly celebrating other people's wins. Next, you gotta protect your mind. Set firm boundaries with social media. It's a comparison engine. Then learn the incredible power of just saying no to fight that fear of missing out and protect your energy. And finally, you have to be the architect of your social circle. Surround yourself with collaborators, not competitors. This is maybe the most transformative practice of all. When you can find real, actual joy in someone else's success, it's no longer a threat to you. Instead, it becomes this infinite well of inspiration and positive energy, both for them and for you. A huge part of learning to uncompete is reclaiming rest. And listen, we are not just talking about getting more sleep. In this context, rest is an active strategy. It's a way to consciously push back against a culture that wears exhaustion like it's a badge of honor. The book outlines 6 key types of rest that we all desperately need. There's social rest, from people who drain you; emotional rest, from feeling like you always have to be on; physical rest, obviously, but also mental rest, from decision fatigue; creative rest, from the pressure to constantly produce; and sensory rest, from the endless noise and information of modern life. This is such a powerful idea, and it's a direct counterpunch to that whole hustle culture mentality. Your worth is not tied to your productivity. You are valuable just as you are right now. And moving at your own pace isn't just okay, it's absolutely essential for a sustainable, meaningful life. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What it boils down to is that we all face a choice. We can keep going down that lonely, isolating path of competition, or we can choose the alternative: collaboration, generosity, solidarity. One path leads to isolation, the other one builds the genuine community and the meaningful success that I think we're all actually searching for. And that leaves us with the final and maybe the most important question of all. If you could just stop letting our culture and social media and all that old conditioning define it for you, what does a successful, fulfilling life actually look like on your own terms?